Former US Marshal Robert Moore here to talk with us about educating kids on how to interact with the police on this edition of IPA Talk. Hi, my name is Jason Leahy, Executive Director of the Illinois Principals Association. I'd like to thank you for taking a few moments to take part in this IPA Talk. Today you're in for a real treat. I've got a terrific guest with me today, Mr. Robert Moore. So, Robert, it's going to take me a minute here just to get through your list of credentials. So a few things that I made notes from your materials. Retired U.S. Marshal, you were appointed by President Clinton in 1994 to that post, Chief of Police in Jackson, Mississippi, Deputy Chief in Savannah, Georgia, former Illinois State Trooper, you're civil rights activist, author, speaker, I would say a historian, all of that kind of stuff, and currently President of Robert Moore and Associates. So did I hit most of the things?
You did it better than I could do it.
Well, I had to read here.
Exactly.
I couldn't just do it off the top.
Right.
But thanks for joining me and joining school leaders here throughout the state. Just want to learn a little bit more about you personally, your fascinating work in law enforcement and other things that you're doing, as well as want to spend some time about the important work that you're doing in schools as well. But if you wouldn't mind, just to get us started here a little bit, tell us about you and your background.
Well, I'm in the process of defining who I am. That's one of the things.
Still trying to grow up.
Still trying to grow up, exactly.
Right.
But I read the book on, trying to figure out what my role is in life. And so I kind of figured out that I'm a social and a criminal justice advocate who has a passion for history and justice. And I think that I demonstrate that being an author and being a curator and being a police consultant. And I use all those skills that God has given me for the betterment of everybody, that people. And I put people first and through my agency and that I do. And so that's kind of who I am at this point. I've kind of narrowed who I am down.
Right. Now, before we were on camera here, we're talking just a little bit about the work of a U.S. Marshal. And as I mentioned before, I've not met a lot of U.S. Marshals and not completely familiar with the work of that office and what those individuals do. So would you just mind enlightening us just a little bit? That takes us beyond like Tommy Lee Jones and U.S. Marshals in the movies. You know what I mean?
That's a good start starting with Tommy Lee Jones and all the other deputy marshals. Those are what we call deputy U.S. Marshal or supervisor deputy marshal. U.S. Marshals, we are a part of the Justice Department. And the distinction between U.S. Marshal and deputy U.S. Marshal, all of us that has that title, we're normally called the honorable. Once you have a presidential appointment. Well, we are presidentially appointed, and we serve at the pleasure of the president. I served at the pleasure of President Clinton. When he left office, I left office. And but the deputy marshals, they are the backbone of the whole organization because they are career people. But we protect the federal judiciary system. We have to carry out some difficult assignments. Right. We are the arm of the federal government. When the Constitution issues are involved, we have to be involved. Federal judges will issue an order to desegregate a school like Ole Miss or in New Orleans, and the judges have no power to enforce that. So that's what the marshals get that order from the federal from the judges, and we carry those issues out.
You know, the thing that I get a sense from you is you talk about being an activist, about supporting movements. I think what I pick up from you, Robert, is doing that through relationship building, getting people together, getting them talking. For example, you talked about work that you've done to bring the NAACP together with the Illinois Chiefs and help with dialogue there and help with understanding there. Just talk to us about that work and what you've got going on.
Well, one of the most important pieces that helped us move that piece when the president, new president of the state NAACP came, Teresa Haley, she asked me to chair the committee for criminal justice committee for the NAACP statewide. Now, this was a major step for a civil rights organization to reach over to law enforcement and say, come and work with me. And so her goal and the Illinois Chief's goal had already been established, that they wanted to work together to come up with some principles that they were going to use, that they would share with all the law enforcement in Illinois, to how to better improve our relationship. And lo and behold, I look up one day and I'm saying that there's a state law. There's some senators.
Right.
There's some senators up north that has introduced a bill in the legislature to have all driver ed students taught how to act when they stop by the police. Yep. And the governor signed that bill. And so as of January 1, all school districts, I'm told, are required to comply with that law. And fortunately for me, I have my services. I'm volunteering my services right now, from a pilot standpoint of view, in District 186, to present the 10 rules of dealing with the police, of which I promote. And I started last Monday with Springfield High School.
As you're in there talking with these kids, these young people, and what a great place to start, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of hope for young people when I see the things that they do and are interested in. What types of advice, you talk about these 10 different principles?
10 rules.
Can you just share with us a little bit about what those things are?
And what we're trying to do, we are doing, we're teaching kids what to do when stopped. But we're also going beyond that. We're telling kids they have rights under the 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendment to the Constitution. And it's up to them if they want to exercise those rights. And so we are telling kids that we're seeing things out there that that has happened in the last 2 years in the streets with the police. And Sandra Bland is one of the prime cases of which we said that if you comply with the police officer's request and complain later, comply, but don't try to have a confrontation in the street, because you're not going to win that battle. So
too many emotions involved.
Exactly,
there, right?
Too many emotions. But the thing is, there are laws that require that what we ask them to do. So, the law says that we can order you out of your car. And yesterday in St. Louis, I asked all these adults. I said, I'm John Doe, police officer. I'm stopping you. Do I have a right to order you out of your car? Half of them said no. Half said yes. I said, we have a problem. We have a problem because our adults don't know how to act, they don't know how to teach their children how to act. So we have a problem. And so that's one of the major things we done. If Sandra Bland, I don't know if she'd been alive today, but if Sandra Bland had complied with that officer's request, even though they might not agree with it, and that's what you have to do. We tell you, even though you might feel that your rights are violated, you can't adjudicate it in the street. Let's adjudicate it. Complain. Come to me as a chief of police. I need to know that information, because I can't get rid of bad officers without knowing that information out there. But you can't do that out there. You can't have that confrontation in the street. You can't run from a police officer. And so we're demonstrating to people the right way. We're demonstrating them to not to run from a police, not to hit a police, not to expose yourself. But the most important is the 4th Amendment rights, where you don't have to allow a police in your car without consent, and you don't have to do that. It's your choice. But the Constitution gives you the right to say no. Constitution tells you the right to remain silent. Constitution tells you that you have a right to a lawyer if you're arrested. And that's what we're teaching the kids.
And I can't think of anyone better, Robert, than you, who has protected the Constitution at the highest level, to come in and tell these young people what their rights are. And I'd say spending a few hours in the classroom will give you an appreciation for what those teachers are doing.
Oh my God! Oh my! And the driver's ed teachers have been just wonderful. They really have. They have been so receptive of. In fact, one said yesterday on Lamprey, said, this needs to be in the rules of the road. The next step, because kids, they just don't understand. They don't know.
What would be helpful for that is then the parents would also be reading those things too, right?
Exactly.
When you're renewing your license and all of that. All of that. So where can people learn more about you, and if they're interested in bringing you in to talk with them, Robert, where can they go to figure that out?
Well, my website is blackmarshalpublishing.com. Okay. And my phone number is area code 217-891-7806. You can Google me. I'm high on Google. Okay. I'm high on Google. So you can Google me and you can see my work. You can see I'm a writer for blackpast.org. You can see the articles I've written on this Black Secret Service agent, Black US Marshals. And so, but I'm easy to contact. I'm a police consultant. I'm even though I'm doing volunteer work for District 186, I don't normally do that. I'm a paid consultant.
Sure, that's right. Well, you got to put food on the table.
I got to put food on the table.
I know.
Gotta put food
I have children to feed myself, so I know how that goes. You bet.
But I'm doing the work in District 186 because I wanted to see the reaction. I wanted to see the reception. I wanted to feel it myself. There's no way I can do all districts across the state of Illinois, but the program that we are promoting, it's been accepted widely, and it gives that student, it gives that parent something that we haven't given them before. Yeah. We're giving them understand. We want to level the playing field. We don't want the police to take advantage of you because you have ignorance of the law. If you know about the law, if you know your rights, you will be able to manage your own stop better, because you won't be bullied, you won't be taken advantage of by the police, and it makes the police better. It makes the police better.
When everybody knows the rules,
exactly.
Right? It's like a basketball game.
Exactly.
Everybody knows the rules, it just plays a lot better.
And I told the kids yesterday, I said, there's rules for math, isn't there? There are rules for everything. And one of the things that I'm going to say that so many people say, why do we have to be trained to how to act with the police? Because you're trained everything. You're trained how to go to the bathroom. Kids, you're trained at every level of your life. That's training. This is a missing piece that's been there. Yeah. This has been a serious missing piece. And I think we could have prevented a lot of the confrontations if we had had this out. Yeah. Now, the generation, this is a new generation of students that's coming through your system right now. Yeah. And if we can reach them, if they can follow these rules, we can eliminate most of the confrontations that are in the street. Yeah.
Robert Moore, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Yes.
And you just mentioned a whole bunch of things about writing and stuff. We could do several more of these,
yes.
I'm sure, and might sure look to do that. But again, Robert Moore here with me, retired U.S. Marshal, former chief of police in a couple of different places, Illinois State Police, author, historian, civil rights activist, and the list goes on and on. But thanks for joining me here today. My name is Jason Leahy, Executive Director of the Illinois Principals Association. Thanks again for joining us for this IPA talk. And as always, if there's anything the IPA can do for you, don't hesitate to give us a call at any time. Take care.